Let's get some reaction now to the lifting of Australia's terror threat level to probable amid heightened community tensions over the war in Gaza. The Prime Minister says it doesn't mean an attack is imminent, so why the sudden change? Lydia Khalil is a Middle East expert and research fellow at the Lowy Institute. She joins us in the studio now. Lydia, very good morning. Great to see you.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
What did you make of the Prime Minister's announcement on advice from the ASIO boss?
Honestly, I thought of it more as an acknowledgement of some long-standing realities that we've been facing both in Australia and globally. So you mentioned the impacts of the war on Gaza, but it's not the only one. We've certainly been seeing an increase in anti-government and anti-institutional sentiment across the board, a rise in conspiracy theories, a more uptake in extremist beliefs and positions, certainly an increasing polarization over a number of issues, not just what's happening in the Middle East, but broadly. And so to me, that seemed like an acknowledgement of this reality that we're facing, and also an acknowledgement of the volatility and the complexity of the violent extremist landscape that we're in now.
I thought it was interesting, this idea that the radicalisation is happening with greater speed. So what's contributing to that?
I think it's a lot of things. The first thing that comes to my mind is obviously the information environment, the online environment. So the online and information environment that we're seeing now is one that's trades on attention and outrage. So it's based on this attention economy. So I certainly think that the immediacy of the online information space that's shaping our perspectives, shaping our positions, is one of those that it's making things happen a lot more quickly. We're seeing a lot of technological shifts that are impacting so many aspects of society and human behaviour, and extremism and moving to violence is one of them.
Oh, we're seeing the impact of misinformation and disinformation in the UK, as per our last story. All these riots sparked by incredibly bad and dangerous misinformation, disinformation online. You mentioned, and as did the Prime Minister and as did Mike Burgess from ASIO yesterday, this growing anti-authoritarian feeling. We're talking about a fairly broad gamut of people here, aren't we? So it's a hard threat to try to tackle and diminish.
That's exactly right. It's like I mentioned, it's part of this broader trend I think we've been seeing for a few decades now that really, I think, impacted us and accelerated during the COVID pandemic, where we were seeing the trends of around democratic and anti-government erosion really impact us in these crisis type of situations that are coming more and more frequently. And then when you couple that with the information environment, plus many other things like, the type of pressures that we're all living under around the environmental impacts, growing inequality, cost of living. There's lots of pressures on a lot of us, and for some people that's manifesting in violent behavior. We're also seeing a normalization of violent rhetoric and violent behavior too, that perhaps has been another significant shift that's led to this.
I was interested in Mike Burgess revealing that they'd disrupted 8 events or possible events in the last 4 months or so. What did you think of those numbers? Is that a lot? Is it what?
I mean, so much of their work happens behind the scenes, right? And so this is why these pressers where they do these public announcements, I think, are so important, because a lot of people might say, okay, well, now what do I do in my daily life? The threat level has gone up. What does this mean for me, right? And what does this mean about these disrupted plots? And I think for the most part, for many people, certainly for myself, I'm not going to change day to day so much what I do. I might have a little bit more awareness around mass gatherings. But I think what the importance of that does send is that it's an important communication tool for government and security agencies for the rest of us. As an open society, we want a bit of transparency from our governments and especially security agencies, even though a lot of what they do happens behind the scenes.